So what I want to share with you now is also another tool that we use in forums, which is an update forum. So every time you're in a forum, you're going to speak about, what's my key update for myself, with my partner, with my family, at work. And what I've added here in this forum is what may feel vulnerable here. Sometimes forums struggle with vulnerability, right? Because we're leaders and again, like I said, we wear this mask and it's a strong mask, and to take it off and to actually talk about what's hurting me right now, what's hard for me right now, and move it away from work sometimes completely. Sometimes it's nothing to do with work, right? To have those conversations is hard. So that's why the question is on the form, which helps you think, what's making me feel vulnerable here? So for example, you might be thinking where we're going with this next, but we're going to the next level of what you might do in a forum. For example, if I just chose work and I did a key update and we were all a forum, I would say to you, which is what's happening to me right now, is that I've joined a new partnership as a partner coach, right? And I would say to you, so my emotions, I'm actually super excited, amazing bunch of people. I'm really looking forward to working with them. But also I'm having a lot of anxiety and sort of unease, which I was like thinking, what's going on? And so I answered this question, what's making me vulnerable here? And really the unease is that I'm going to just miss more time with my children and my mother, right? It's already been on my mind. And the vulnerability here makes me think like, what are my priorities then? So it's really, if I were to be truly vulnerable, I'm questioning what's important to me. I say it's my children and my family, but really what's important to me, because this will keep me away at least a week out of the country. So just talking about that makes me uneasy and makes me think more. And if we were in a forum now, we would have a way to work on this, right, together. But I'll pause there and I'm going to ask you to do something as well. And I really want you to now just maybe get away from the work or maybe stay in work. It's totally up to you. But one key thing that's happening for you, I don't know if you have a piece of paper, but just think about what's one key thing that's happening. And again, it doesn't have to be anything huge, right? It could be anything that comes to your mind in one of those categories. How do you feel about that? So what's the emotion? And if you thought a little further, what makes you feel a little vulnerable about this, right? So take a minute to maybe think about this, but you want to answer specifically the questions here, okay? So one key point, one or two emotion, what's making you vulnerable? So it's just three things. So we'll just take a minute of silence to just think about it. And when you're ready, you're going to share with someone who's not related to you is better. Find somebody else if you can. Maybe you all have something now. We can start our 2 minutes. Do you all have somebody? You found somebody? So if you look at the form, choose one thing. Choose yourself, your partner, family, or work. Choose one category first.
Right.
So all of you should have one category now. So just choose one of those. Then choose one thing that you want to make. So for example, if it's yourself, a key update would be, I've really started going to the gym every day. Maybe that's your key update. Whatever is your key update. Then your emotion. How do I feel about this? Well, I'm super excited, but also maybe I'm hesitant because I don't know how long it'll last, right? So what's making you vulnerable around here? So just do that thinking process. Don't worry about getting it right or wrong. Whatever comes up for you will be just fine.
The idea is to focus on the emotion. The idea is for the forum to understand the emotion and therein the underlying problem. So any of the three things, you can pick up one, and what's the update, what's the emotion, and what makes you feel that way. I'm very happy, but what makes me feel that way, that's what is important. So during your 5-minute update, this is a game changer, because this is what you don't discuss with family or friends. The emotion side of it, and it's that 5% emotion that Sabah is trying to extrapolate from you guys. So we can begin that exercise. If we can have the timer, give them a minute and they can figure out one thing. We can do that exercise.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we can go back to the slide. So the update on, if it's me, myself, the key update over here would be I'm overwhelmed with the amount and quantum of design work I'm doing. That's my update to my forum. The emotion, I'm worried, I'm scared, and I'm excited. Both these are juxtaposed feelings. The vulnerability, if I go wrong big time on a dream I've seen for 8 years. Hence, I'm scared of this design that I'm doing for the entire showroom and the new 40-room resort. So that's my update. It allows my forum to quickly get into my mindset that I'm overwhelmed right now with the quantum of work. I'm scared, but I'm excited. So to understand the emotion, this never happens in a friendship. If I'm at Palak's house discussing in a party, I would never be sharing that I'm scared, I'm vulnerable. That's what Sabah wants you to focus on, any one of these. So if you guys have done this exercise, Sabah would like to ask you any question regarding this.
Akhil Rasa is my name, and I'm the chairman of Beneficent Knowledge Parks. So the first thing would be family. That's the choice out of the four. The thing would be fear. The emotion would be fear. And the reason would be, I have a special child. So all the time we feel that what would happen to the kid after us? The empathy in people is not there, or how would he go about life? And that's the take I have to share.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for that. I hear the real vulnerability in there. Thank you. And so maybe somebody would share what was, what's your takeaway from this exercise, or how did it feel as something to do? How did it feel for you to connect to your vulnerability, or to try to connect to vulnerability? How did it feel? Maybe it felt terrible, and that's okay as well.
Rather than keeping it to yourself, you always get friends who give you good advice, and it helps you grow.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Totally helps you grow. Anyone else? Maybe we're here for one more person.
So honestly, I felt like, talking about vulnerability, I felt a little weak, should I really be vulnerable about this? So honestly, that's how I felt.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, because that's how most of us feel in forums as well when we're starting. And even if you've been in a forum for 5 years, you could feel that way. It's not always easy to do. So thank you. Okay, so look, just coming to the end of this, here are some questions that we use sometimes in forums, which help create vulnerability, right? And I'll just I can read them out to you. We ask questions like, who have you not thanked enough? What would you say now to them? Or what is one thing you deeply regret in your life, and what would you do about it now, right? Or what is one thing you wish your father or mother knew about you, or one thing you would say to them? So forum is designed for us to go deeper within ourselves. And as we go deeper within ourselves, we understand ourselves better. And then we're able to actually be better people, better leaders, better parents, better children, better partners. And before we do Q&A, the Simon Sinek saying, right? A leader first and foremost is human. Only when we have the strength to show our vulnerability can we truly lead. So we always say in forum that vulnerability and courage sort of go hand in hand. If you don't have courage, you can't be vulnerable, basically. So thank you. That's sort of that part of it. And we can do Q&A. If anyone has any questions, then happy to answer them.
People are still grappling with the idea and concept of forums, and the same questions that were there in your and my mind when we join our forums is the same ones that are running through their heads as well. That why should I open up? I don't need to open up. I have nothing to hide. Lots of these things. I have my family to speak to. I have my spouse. I have my friends. I have my consultants. But then the forum is much more than all of these above, because the kind of processes that you take them through. First of all, I think we can all have a round of applause for Sabah for doing this session for us. And I'm sure there's some questions that come to your mind which you're not clear about. The updates are very, very important in this short period of time that we had given her. This is the best that she could do. But the update within a forum happens between each member. The constitution of the forum decides an update is going to be 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Usually, our forum takes a 5-minute update. Out of that 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes of catching up, 3 minutes of emotions. Catching up, you can do with a friend. I traveled to Delhi, then we are going to Switzerland next month, and we are doing this, and we are doing that. My kids are back to school or college. That is fine. You can do it with anybody. But the underlying emotions within them and why are you feeling that way allows you to create and understand and create that camaraderie between the forum members. Yeah, you would like to say something. Please do.
Hi, Sabah. This is Amit here. Did you ever regret joining a forum? Did you feel that why did I share it on the forum? I shouldn't have spoken about it. Some topic, something personal. Did you ever go through that emotion after sharing the...
That's a great question, Amit, actually, because yes, I did. I did feel it, and I felt it not because I thought that my confidence will be betrayed. I felt, and not also because I felt judged, but I felt it because I judged myself. I felt quite embarrassed afterwards. So I was like, oh God, I wish I had never said that because I didn't like how I felt about myself. So having said that, subsequently, I realized how important it was that I had shared it because I was able to deal with that whole thing and that emotion of embarrassment as well much better. And then I told my forum as well. I was like, I was so embarrassed. And they helped sort of contain that. So thank you for that great question.
My name is Tarun and I am from Bangalore. Being vulnerable is truly a huge, enormous effort. And after being vulnerable, we are left in a space of void or something like a trauma. How do we heal? Even though we are in a forum, one needs to heal. Is there a mechanism or how do we go about that to get back to the comfort space again?
Darren, beautiful question and really, really relevant. It's very hard to go to that space of vulnerability. And when you're there, you're getting even more vulnerable, right? The thing about forum is that it's a couple of hours, right? That's one thing. And there are many different parts of a forum. So there is the update, but there are many things which help you get closure on what you've shared and on the vulnerability aspect. So hopefully in a forum, you'll get some level of, it's not fixed or solved or resolved, but there's closure on that feeling. And also really great forums, if they feel that the forum member is still in that space, they will contain that person, they will call that person, they'll meet again, they'll meet extra, they'll recommend resources, right? So there's various things you can do. So I think it depends on what level of vulnerability, right? So there's no clear answer except that the forum has many other things that we do in it to get closure on what we've opened as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Sabah, I would like to add, what we also do with forums is to select a presentation topic, and out of the 10 people, if somebody's in that zone, we all are sensitive enough to pick it up. And it can be picked up from his voice, tonality, not willing to open, otherwise a person is usually open, and we immediately make it into a presentation topic. Unplanned presentations, we give anything from 15 minutes to 45 minutes to address a problem. Example, one of the guys have had a problem with his father in business. Now that's a vulnerable situation. He shared it with the forum. Forum understands the situation, and that's where experience sharing begins. We also recommend to get a business coach for himself and somebody who the father will get along. That's a second experience sharing that happens. Recommendation of the coaches starts. So there's a lot of these things. The problem is not, you're not left to be vulnerable in that situation. The whole purpose of the forum is there for you. And like Sabah said, it's not always necessary that you have answers right then and there, but the forum decides to even call for an extraordinary meeting if you are in that vulnerable situation. There is a divorce happening, there is something to do with your kid. There are special situations in business, finance, raids. Forum calls for a special meeting and they make sure they are there to support you. So it's a very meaningful thing. Even if you are left in that space in that meeting, it is continued in the next meeting and you are given the priority to address that situation. also in a forum, if repeatedly somebody comes up with the same problem again and again, then the forum says, look, we've had it in the parking lot for too long. Let's dedicate a good amount of time with a resource to solve this problem. So forum is meaningful mechanism. Sabah, thanks a lot for doing this session for us today. I'm sure there have been valuable insights. My apologies for giving you a very short period of time for you to just warm up the crowd and engage with them. I'm sure if you have an entire day with them, the whole effect will be different. But let us hear it for Sabah. Thank you, Sabah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Amazing to have been with you all.
Pleasure, and looking forward to catching up in London with you. Bye.
Totally.